We interrupt your regular schedule of Time Warp Radio to present a specially broadcasted bonus episode. Woo-hoo-hoo. This episode, we are talking our most recent Rocky Horror Minutes and wrestling with Zach from Smark and Friends. Zach, we are so happy to have you.
Hi. I never know when to come in for that, but thank you.
We met on Instagram, essentially, because you were doing a month of Rocky Horror themed wrestling, like dreamcasting.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I just kind of, last year I did a different Halloween aesthetic for the visuals of my podcast, and this year I was doing that all over again. And this year I just kind of went with Rocky Horror. The podcast became known as the Smarky Horror Podcast.
Yes, the Smarky Horror Podcast show. I was a fan.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's of course how, myself and yourself started corresponding using, like, the Rocky hashtags or whatnot, and that's how we met, and it's been a lot of fun since.
Well, it was just I saw your posts, and it wasn't just that, like, you posted one time. You were posting, like, daily content of Rocky Horror wrestling crossover stuff that I was just like, I don't know anything about wrestling at all, but I really love that Rocky Horror is reaching to these bounds, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, you know. I was like able to just ask, like, well, for one thing, like, my background is like I work in social media, so like I'm always just kind of like doing these calls to actions and like really just trying to get the audience to engage with the social media platform, and it led to kind of dumb questions like, in an all wrestler cast of Rocky Horror, who would you cast as Brad and Janet, you know, like.
And I had no idea how to answer. I was just like liking the posts. I was like, I don't know wrestlers to comment on this. But your podcast is so much fun because you have various guests that are uninitiated wrestling fans, which I love because it's like you just don't know that you're gonna love it yet.
Yeah, thank you.
And you just need to expose the person with the right video and the right commentary. And that was what we ended up doing.
Yeah, we had so much fun recording.
Yeah, it was great to have you both on the podcast. I was so happy when it worked out.
Me too.
Well, tell me about your podcast, because is that how you normally conduct? Like, you have guests on all the time? Is it more so like you pick random wrestling matches to just kind of hang out, watch, and drink a beer and talk about?
Yeah, it started as that. Like, this all kind of came about when my friends, Tina, she's my producer, her and a couple of her friends put together the Two Finger Guns Club network. They had already had a show called Boldly Boinking, which was about sex and Star Trek. Really great podcast. And I knew that they were looking for content, and just off the cuff, I had kind of like recently exited like the creative scene, and I was like looking for a new outlet to kind of create content. So I dreamed up this little podcast, and I pitched it to Tina. The network liked it. We produced a couple seasons, and when we started, it was very much like what we did when I had you on the show. But it was just that we were only doing like watch-alongs with uninitiated fans, doing it in studio, of course, because this was pre-pandemic. But after a couple seasons, we like moved to releasing new episodes weekly. So I didn't want the premise of our show to go stale. Like, I didn't want to be doing the same watch along every week. So we did evolve the concept a little bit. Like, we do the watch alongs, but we also do like, I'll speak to people in the professional wrestling scene about like their side projects. Like, just recently I spoke to brilliant comic book artist named Andy Belanger, but in the ring he's known as Bob Animal Anger. He's putting together this kick-ass graphic novel about like space wrestling / trucking called Mother Trucker.
Ooh.
Yeah, and on top of that, we also do like film reviews of some like terrible B movies that star professional wrestlers because there happens to be a lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we do by and large on Smark and Friends.
I love it.
And again, I do just want to reiterate, I was so glad when we were able to connect because that was one of my favorite episodes to do last month. Doing an episode with Time Warp Radio. It was too much fun.
Oh, I know, seriously.
Well, I had no idea what I was getting into, much like Virgin at a Rocky Horror Picture Show showing. I had a loose idea of what to expect, and then it ended up having props and costume changes and people going into the crowd and audience members with, like, oh my gosh, the fan base at these shows. They have signs, they have shirts, they're interacting with the wrestlers through the match because the wrestler is like right up in their face.
And it just felt like home. It's like, this is what we do. This is literally exactly what we do.
It felt just like Rocky Horror, which was like, what, huh? What? Do you see the similarities as plainly as day, or is it something that you just kind of take as part of wrestling being a theatrical art?
Yeah. I mean, like, there is a surprising amount of overlap, you know, like because both shows have like such high audience participation involved, and they certainly manifest in different ways. But there's still a lot of things that it has a surprising amount in common with like the Rocky Horror presentation of things, because like, you know, in wrestling there's callbacks, there's, you know, there's chants, there's audience participation prevails in both worlds. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea how much crossover there would be.
Absolutely.
And so the match we watched was Vampiro,
And
Yeah.
Pentagon Jr.
or I was just calling him Uncle Sal and his inner saboteur, I guess. Just the good and evil.
That's okay. I was calling them both Pentagon Junior. I just couldn't get the names right on my own podcast. It was embarrassing.
No, but that was like, it was so, we got so wrapped up in the spectacle of it, and yeah, I was totally a wrestling fan after that.
Oh, yeah. We actually found the David Arquette wrestling documentary on Apple TV, and we
Did you watch it?
We haven't watched it yet, but we're
Okay.
planning on renting it and watching it very soon.
We're
It is so good.
definitely stans of David Arquette.
Well, I think Katie sent me the link to David Arquette doing Hot Patootie from
Yes.
the recent Rocky Horror Live, and it was so good.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Okay, so you saw it.
Yeah,
I'm so
absolutely.
glad you watched it.
He
Yeah.
has the same, like, chaotic energy that Meatloaf brought to Eddie. So I was like, no better person to take over that role.
Absolutely, and like the way he filmed the death, his murder, I was laughing. I was in stitches. It was great stuff.
So good.
He's so good. So I'm curious, because how long have you been a wrestling fan?
Oh geez, like as long as I can remember.
Okay.
On the first episode of Smark and Friends, I told the anecdote that one day I have to go through my parents' basement and find, like, there's a baby picture of me watching Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Like, as long as I can remember.
Sweet.
That's
Yeah.
so wonderful.
Was it something that, like, your parents were into, and so it was something that was on in the house? And
Not so
or
much
did
my
you
parents.
find it on your own?
Yeah, it wasn't so much my parents, but it was my older brother. My brother is like 10 years older than me, so like he was already watching it a whole bunch, and yeah, I kind of got roped in and indoctrinated.
I have kind of a similar story. It wasn't my older brother, but it was like the neighbor boy that lived like 3 houses down, and we used to go and ride our like bikes together in the desert, and then I would go hang out at his house, and he'd be like, WWF is on, we gotta watch it. And so I was like, whatever, I guess I'll watch this show. And I ended up, like, falling in love with the theatrics of it. And then I just kind of fell off the bus, but, like, it's so fun to get back into watching it.
Absolutely. And, you know, to your point, that's another thing that kind of has wrestling has in common with Rocky Horror. And I think we touched upon this when you guys were on my show, is like the pageantry, like the absolute spectacle of these costumes and lighting and just like bombastic characters. It's all there.
Do you have any aspirations to be a wrestler? Was that ever like...
It's so much work. Are you kidding?
Yeah. You know, sometimes, like, I must have wanted it badly at one point in my teens that I can, like, vaguely recall, because, like, I don't think there are wrestling fans who are as passionate as I am who haven't at least considered it at some point.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe once in a while I'll think like, oh man, I should have tried that just to see what happens. But then I'll watch like a submission shooter stretcher match and watch like people get their fingers bent backwards. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. No regrets anymore.
Never mind. Not so much.
Yeah.
That's so good. Because I was curious if it was like you were a wrestler in high school or if like you were a theater kid in high school.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a wrestler. I wasn't athletic, but I was a theater kid.
Okay.
I did the high school productions, and I went on to CEGEP, which is Quebec's essentially Quebec's version of college. I did professional theater there. I started in the acting stream, then I went to do design afterwards. But I never really ventured into the world of pro wrestling from there.
Probably a good thing, though.
No, you technically have by making a how many seasons long show dedicated to discussing and analyzing these wrestling matches.
Yeah.
In a way that's similar to how we're analyzing a film. You know, you're spending a lot of time watching these matches, and you have to come up with, you know, conspiracies and the like as a fan.
And that's literally what we do.
I really appreciate you saying so. That means a lot. Thank you.
So
you
did theater.
Yeah.
Did you ever do a Rocky Horror Shadowcast?
I wish. I've attended. I really wanted to do costumes for Rocky at some point in like my creative career, but unfortunately it never really happened. But you know, I still attend the shows when there are shows, of course, but never got my hands on it.
Who would you play if you did do a Shadowcast?
Oh geez, I would hope Riff Raff, I think.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
Well, okay, first, is he your favorite character?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now I want to know why, and then why you would want to... Would you want to be him because he's your favorite?
Well, okay, so that's actually a fair question, because, like, I would not be able to do it justice. But the reason I like him is something I could never execute on stage, and that's, like, the high notes he hits in Time Warp. Like, oh, man, like, he is just an absolute boss when he does those high notes.
Totally.
And, you know, that was the first time I, like a character like grabbed me the first time I was watching Rocky Horror, and so from then on, like, that's my guy, Riff Raff.
Yeah, Richard O'Brien has like this presence that even though he's like a slim kind of, you know, scraggly guy, he comes out and you just are so focused on him because he's got this aura of like big energy surrounding him. I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to do... If I was ever to be Riff Raff, it would have to be in a shadow cast where my voice is not being used whatsoever.
You won't have to worry about that. That's A-okay.
Some
it's
of
all
us just
lip-syncing.
scream it out while we're on the stage, and nobody can hear us anyways because it's so loud in the theater. So you could even try and sing and just like do it for yourself, but nobody will be able to hear you, and it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
When was the first time that you watched Rocky Horror?
Uh, it was at the Imperial Theater. It was with a shadow cast. I guess I want to say like 2007, 2006 or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a ballpark estimate. It was a lot of fun, like a lot of the stuff that I had previously only experienced at like wrestling venues was prevailing in like this rather snooty theater here in Montreal. It was great.
Well, okay, so you're in Canada.
Yes.
If our listeners couldn't tell just by how nice you are that you were from Canada, we kind of talked about this on your show, but I'm curious how different the scene is on the other side of the old Canadian border.
Sure.
Like, what are crowds like? Are people super into like dressing up when they go to see the movie? Is just like
Yeah.
what's the culture like there?
What's it like?
Oh, absolutely. Like everyone gets like really into it, especially around Halloween. Like the show at the Imperial is big. Like it's kind of like required viewing for a lot of the core Rocky audience, and everyone who's involved gets really into it. There's also the mainline theater, which is more of a small independent theater. Really great space. They do Rocky every year. My wife was in it several years in a row, so of course
Wait, after she was your wife, or did you meet her?
I met her well before she was in Rocky. And she was Janet as well.
So then would you ever perform as Brad?
Yeah, perhaps in a shadow cast, sure, but
Yeah, because then you guys could do Brad and Janet. Perfect.
That'd be fun, absolutely. Yeah, but the Rocky crowd, like Rocky Horror is very much in the aesthetic of like the how can I articulate this? It's very ingrained in the theatrical culture of Montreal, I believe.
Ah, okay.
So, question. I am curious, did you find your dream Rocky Horror wrestling crossover cast?
Oh.
Did you get who would you cast as your wrestlers in Rocky Horror?
Ooh. Yeah, I put all the questions together and I didn't really think of answers for myself.
Ooh.
Okay, Brad and Janet. Janet would be... I feel like I'm just going to name drop, but like I'm not sure if you'll be familiar with any of these people.
No, I know for sure of one person who loves wrestling that listens to our podcast.
Yeah, I know at least one person.
So we have two people
Okay.
at least that will probably get this.
So this is for them.
Yes.
For Brad and Janet, I would say Janet is Kylie Ray, who was most recently with Impact Wrestling, and Brad would be Xavier Woods from WWE in the New Day. This is actually much tougher than I thought.
Yeah.
See, now you know how we felt on Instagram.
Columbia and Magenta. Oh, I feel like I had a good one for them. Okay, Sonya Deville would be Magenta from WWE, and Columbia. Oh, maybe Bailey. Again, another WWE. I feel
Wait,
just all good.
I know who
WWE
Bailey
people.
is.
You know Bailey?
I do. I
Nice.
met her at Disneyland once.
Really?
Yeah. And I only knew who she was because one of my really close friends who was there with me was like, that's Bailey. She's a wrestler. Oh my god. And like I was like, who? What? And then I got it explained to me, so I actually know that one.
Well, there you go. That's who I see as Columbia.
I can see it.
Yeah. For Eddie, I think it's going to be John Moxley, WWE champion right now. No, excuse me, AEW champion. Okay, Riff Raff. Riff Raff would be Chris Jericho.
Ooh,
Do you know
okay,
Chris Jericho?
I see that one. Yes.
Yeah. But I think Frank's the tough one because like I can never not think of Frank as Tim Curry.
I know. It's
Can't
hard.
Can't there be a wrestler who does just Frankenfurter? You
Well,
know,
like,
who just like
That
shows
would
up
be
in
great.
Frankenfurter with the heels and the full done up face.
I would love
the
that.
corset.
maybe Gold Dust.
Okay.
From like 90s wrestling. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still going today under like a different under his given name, I believe. But yeah, maybe Gold Dust.
I can see that. I actually
Yeah.
know who that is too.
Cool.
Because he's from when I used to watch WWF. I remember him.
Yeah,
I've for sure seen him before.
yeah, and
So
he's
now
still
we
going
just
today.
need to contact all these people and get them to cosplay.
Yeah. We'll just send out messages randomly on the internet. We'll
Hi,
make it
we're Time
happen.
Warp Radio. Please do a wrestling cast of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Exactly. It'll work, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I bet a bunch of them are huge Rocky Horror fans.
Oh, I imagine so. Absolutely. Like,
But like all the dramatics and the theatrics, I feel like they have to at least have seen it before.
Oh yeah.
well, like, and like a lot of contemporary wrestlers are like big nerds right now. Like, they're not. It's not like the cocaine-driven '80s where everyone was like
Oh
just
my gosh.
too macho and whatnot.
Oh my gosh, Macho Man. That video
Yeah.
you posted the other day of him just, what does he throw at the guy? A creamer?
The creamer, yeah. Oh, it's just a legendary promo. Not to go on a tangent, but he just like rants about how he's the cream of the crop, and he's like pulling creamers out of nowhere. He's like a little magician who conjures cream. It's weird.
I love Randy Savage.
But he's,
Oh, he's great.
so huge. He's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how his arms have any kind of
Movement at all.
Yeah,
He's
any
just-
kind of turning radius. Because then that creamer comes out of nowhere, and it is the teensiest little thing in his hands. It's just the tiniest little creamer. And
Yeah.
you're like, is he really holding, is that what I think it is? And then he just throws it at the reporter. Oh my gosh. But we've been talking about Macho men's, Rocky and Eddie recently. They're two different type of Macho Men. And Rocky is not a wrestler.
No.
I don't think. Well, I don't know. Would Rocky be good in a wrestling match?
Would dynamic tension provide the type of muscles that you need for wrestling?
That's a good question. I think he's too young for it. He's only 7 hours old. I don't know if he. Not so much worried about his athleticism, because it's clear he has that, but I don't know if he has the storytelling capacity that he can like tell a story in the ring yet. I think he has to learn that.
Exactly. Yeah. I can see that.
I'm curious because he wears gold wrestling boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely has the attire as well. Like, he looks ready to go.
He does. He looks ready for the ring, but I just don't feel like he has what it takes at this point in his journey.
Well, okay. Do wrestlers need to have deltoids and biceps, or are they more leg guys? You know?
I feel like you gotta have a lot of leg strength to be able to, like, yeet the other people like they do.
Yeah. By the way, I'm so happy that I heard yeet on this podcast. It's my favorite verb.
But they do. We, like, watched something today, and somebody just gets picked up and, like, yeeted across the entire ring, and we were like, oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of room for a lot of different types of body types in wrestling as well. You definitely have a Rocky. You probably have a Riff Raff in there somewhere. You know, there's lots of room in wrestling for different folks.
Well, okay. If Rocky and Eddie were in a wrestling match, who would win?
I think Eddie fights dirty and Rocky is too innocent.
Ooh.
What kind of move would he pull? Knowing that, like, he could have any prop at his disposal, what would Eddie use?
Yeah, how would Eddie take Rocky down?
Oh, I think he'd the ref would be distracted, and Eddie would reach under the ring and pull out the saxophone, and he would just level Rocky with it. I think, and the ref will turn around, 1, 2, 3, the match is over.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, that gave me a really good idea because a saxophone is like so heavy.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty heavy.
it could be a pretty good weapon in
Absolutely.
a pinch. You
Yeah.
know? Eddie
Yeah,
doesn't
and-
think to use that saxophone in...
His like defense against Frank.
Yeah, he straight up gives the saxophone to Brad and leaves himself like unarmed. Ooh, ooh, a new conspiracy is brewing. I think Eddie might be giving Brad like a
Weapon to defend himself.
Yeah.
That's
so if you
interesting.
so choose, here's something big and heavy that could probably knock someone out if you knock him over the head with it.
But it was his own undoing. Like, he gives it to Brad, and he's left defenseless.
But I think he knew that he was already done for. That's the thing. I think that Eddie already knew, like, hey, I'm out of here. I already have half my brain missing. I'm on my way out. You defend yourself.
Okay. I mean, like, he does kind of, like, crawl away, though. I think he's got a lot of, flight left in him. He's
Okay,
certainly
yeah.
not... he's not resigned to his fate, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Because he also tried to find the exit riding around on his motorcycle.
There you go.
I also think that he thought that he was big enough to take on Frank by himself without a weapon, which did not work well in his favor.
No.
No,
pulled out the-
as in wrestling, a person versus a prop, they're done for.
Pretty much,
Unless
yeah. Like,
the
if...
prop backfires.
Yeah, and there's room for the prop to backfire, certainly. But yeah, generally, whoever's got like the steel chair or the other various weapon, they usually have the upper hand. And again, of course, Frank's carrying, what is that, like a pitchfork?
Pickaxe.
A pickaxe.
Yeah. Like if
Yeah.
he were going to go break apart giant ice cubes.
Makes sense. Yeah, that pretty much seals the deal. He's got the upper hand over Eddie.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. So I'm curious of what your thoughts of the movie are up to this point. We've got, a couple of young kids who get caught into a strange party, and
They watched a man be born. They watched a man be murdered.
Yeah, I mean, up until this point, what I'm about to say makes it sound like I don't like what happens after in this movie, but up until this point in the movie, I really like what's going on. Like my two favorite songs, Time Warp and There's a Light, great songs, leads into the party and everything, and of course they go up to the lab. The lab is fun, but like I think Brad and Janet are a little cavalier about what they're seeing. Sure, they're shocked. They're shocked about the dancers, but they're less shocked about seeing, Rocky come to life.
And also
which-
a man literally be murdered and they don't react to it at all.
Yeah, and I'm willing to chalk that up to shock. But yeah, still a lot of fun.
And then, what do you think about you made it sound like you hate what happens after this?
Yeah, that's why I didn't like my own phrasing. No, I love the movie through and through.
So you said There's a Light and Time Warp are your favorite songs. Has your favorite moment already happened? Are those in those numbers?
Ooh.
Well, he's a riff man through and through, so I think that maybe the takeover part at the end with the spacesuits, that might be
Yeah.
his favorite.
Yeah, that's badass. But yeah, that's a really good moment. But I think what takes it for me, like, is one of the last lines. Like the first time I heard it, I got shivers. Was the Lost in Time, Lost in Space, a species, the insects called the. Okay, now of course now I can't say it, but you know the line I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
actually something that we have brought up over and over again on our show, which
Is human life meaningless?
yeah, because Krim says that human life is meaningless, so we're trying to find meaning in this movie because the criminologist says we can't do it.
Yeah. And the first time I heard that, like, I just got shivers, and like that's probably what I think of when I think of Rocky, Rocky
Yes.
Horror Picture Show. it's almost like a perfect line. Like
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's the perfect line to like end a movie.
Well, it's
on.
also like you can't believe that's how it ends.
Yeah.
Like you're like, wait, we're not going to go over any of the stuff that didn't make sense. No? Oh, it wasn't supposed to make sense. Oh, okay. Instead of, I don't know, questioning it at every turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I certainly didn't read it like that the first time I heard it, and as much as I love Rocky, I certainly haven't taken the deep dive that both of you have. But what you're saying, that resonates to me, certainly.
Thanks.
Yes, we are a little bit obsessive when it comes to
Not
this
at all.
movie. We've definitely
Not at all.
watched it. I think
I
we've
mean-
watched it more than like maybe anybody that we've talked to so far on the show.
So I wanted to give you a taste of your own medicine.
Okay.
And as you made us watch a wrestling match, we're going to make you watch a couple of wrestling matches.
Okay.
So the first one is like a little short, and we're going to post the links in our description. So if you guys want to listen and watch along, please do. The first one's like a little shorter, and we're not going to watch the whole video, but then we're going to watch
The whole one of the second one.
right.
All right. Do you want to count me in to click play or whatnot, or?
Yeah.
Okay, well, everyone pause the podcast now if
Open
you
up
want to
your
go
video.
open the YouTube link. And now we'll do a countdown of 3, 2, 1, play.
It picks up. Ready? Okay, how about this one?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I've.
So this is WWE Live,
Yes. It's Raw.
Raw.
And it's Meatloaf yelling at Randy Orton.
He's trying to sell him on, I think, using either a single
Do what Jack Black called like a roll.
Yeah.
for his
Entry music.
yeah, I think so.
I love Meatloaf, just like as a being, like. I remember this segment, and I don't know if you can hear the audience, but they're really not particularly into it. Unfortunately, I don't think they're as big as big Rocky fans.
Yeah, they are definitely not Meatloaf fans. They are waiting for Randy Orton to do his thing.
He's gonna.
There we
do it.
go.
He's gonna,
There it is.
Oh!
The RKO.
from out of nowhere, as they say.
And we can pause at that
Yeah,
point.
there we
We
go.
can pause that
That's
one?
all we needed to watch.
Because Meatloaf gets RKO'd.
Yeah, that's the RKO.
Can you explain this to me, please?
Okay, it's not RKO Pictures. It's not a reference to that or anything.
But it's a comparison. There we go. When we saw it,
Another parallel.
yeah, we were like RKO. We know what that means.
Yeah. In Randy's case, it's his signature move. His middle name is Keith. It's the RKO. For that. But yeah, like there's certainly that. I don't think it's an intentional parallel, but it certainly exists.
And Meatloaf is so ridiculous. There's another video that we'll put in
Our blog.
the blog, and I'll send it to you later. It's like him after the fact talking about how cool that was, like to get
he was
RKO'd.
like, "Oh, I'm lightheaded, but it was amazing to be RKO'd, and I think he's gonna use my single off of Be Cool
Badass-
Teddy Bear as his new entry music," and we were cracking up.
I mean, Orton's had this his present music for like something like, I don't know, 15 years now. I think he's due for a refresher entrance music. I think it's time. He needs to call Meat up.
For real. Or just use Hot Patootie.
Yeah, Hot
You should
Patootie's
enter to
great.
Hot Patootie.
I
Ride
think
in
it
on a
definitely
motorcycle.
matches Randy Orton's energy level too, for sure.
Oh, why didn't I cast Randy Orton as Eddie? This is what I should have done.
Well, speaking of Eddie, we found another great video that we thought would tie in on.
Well, because we
Yes.
talked earlier about David Arquette and his Wisconsin Democrat live stream portrayal of Eddie and how much we loved it. And oh my gosh, I wanted us to watch it on the episode or on the show tonight.
Yes.
But they took down the video.
They took down the video. I'm so mad.
Wait, is it not working?
No, they took it. The Wisconsin Democrats took
Oh,
out
okay.
the video of him doing Hot Patootie.
For, like,
So we weren't able
copyright
to watch it
reasons.
for tonight, but we are gonna get our David Arquette fix in this video. The second link that we sent you.
I got it all queued up.
All
Oh
right.
boy, okay, so if everyone is ready, have your second link pulled up, and we will play in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is again Randy Orton, who apparently has a thing against Eddies.
Yes.
A vendetta against Eddie's. That's there's a storyline there. I think they should run with it.
And if you look in the corner there, we've got David Arquette in a
Very interesting outfit.
like an American flag kimono.
He's got some interesting ring gear when he was making like these sporadic appearances through like the early 2000s.
Well, okay, so David Arquette had a moment in the wrestling career.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I don't want to say too much because I know you plan on watching the documentary. But
100%.
he showed up in WCW. It was like just like this little stunt appearance. He was promoting a wrestling movie he was a part of.
Oh, no!
Oh,
Oh, no!
David, no!
Look, no, the ref's distracted.
Oh, think of your agent.
Distracted.
Oh, he's
You
just
said-
strangling Randy
You
Orton.
said that Eddie would do something when the ref was not looking.
There we go.
How do you know?
I knew it. You know what? Now I want to see Randy Orton beat up Adam Lambert.
So that's yes, absolutely. I'm really sad we couldn't find that video.
For real. We need
Yeah.
to make it happen.
Oh, nice angle slam by Randy Orton. Now he's setting up for the RKO.
Oh
Sorry.
no, for the
Dude.
RKO. Oh!
There it is. Boom.
Woo-hoo.
See, just watching stuff like this makes me never want to be a wrestler.
Whoa!
Oh,
He got hit with a prop? A money
Oh,
bank?
it's like the little briefcase
no.
full of money.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh
A prop.
no!
A prop. Here we go.
He's got a prop.
Miz is getting a table.
Well, this is like Vampiro got a picnic table too.
I told you, like I said when you were on my podcast, the mid-match picnic table break is a time-honored tradition, and I'm glad to see that David
Have
Arquette is
a banquet
observing it as
first.
well.
So Randy Orton is still like passed out on the floor, and they
Yeah,
have set up this picnic table.
And it looks
Oh,
like they're
boy.
going to put them through it. Looking for a double suplex.
Oh,
Oh, yeets!
Randy Orton's fighting back. Oh,
Oh no!
David Arquette makes the
Oh
save.
no!
and
But now
he
he's
looks-
alone in the ring,
and he's terrified.
This is where David Arquette's like, "I'm gonna get my Globe. I'm gonna get my Oscar."
Oh, kick to the sternum.
And like you said, sometimes props can go wrong.
Oh no!
Yeah. Randy
Oh
Orton
no!
is,
They're asking for an RKO.
I think he's got something else in mind.
Oh no! Ah!
Powerbomb through the table.
Oh, and he's out. He's down for the count.
Oh,
There we go.
That's wonderful. Thank you for bringing some wrestling into the podcast. I really felt like I was at home.
Well,
We had to.
love
Yeah.
David Arquette so much, and
He's the best.
we've been talking about Eddie and Hot Patootie all week.
Yes.
So it was like the perfect cherry on top.
Sometimes the universe just lines up perfectly and gives us a bunch
Honestly.
of Eddies for Randy Orton to beat up.
It was so funny because I found that Meatloaf video and then I was like, hold on, just a second. Looked up just in case it was a thing. Randy Orton, David Arquette, and then boom, there it was, and I was like, oh, the world loves me.
So we will say that we also looked up Randy Orton versus Adam Lambert.
Didn't exist.
No
Sorry,
results.
no.
Sorry.
That's unfortunate. Maybe next year. Maybe.
Maybe.
You know, there's still time. Randy Orton's still wrestling. This may happen. We can hope.
Well, now we need to write him regarding his Eddie vendetta.
Yeah. We have another Instagram DM to send.
Yeah. We have a whole list of 10 right now. I'm ready.
Oh, please do. I'd like to co-sign this DM.
So I do have an ultimate question to ask you.
Absolutely.
Zach, what do you think Rocky Horror means?
Uh-oh. I'm on the spot.
There's no
here.
wrong answers. No wrong answers.
Sure.
Unless there is. No, I'm kidding. There isn't.
Well, I mean, like, maybe it doesn't mean anything, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's a lot of freedom in it. You know, like, you talk about nihilism, how nothing matters, and when you say something doesn't matter, your mind might immediately go there. But that's only talking about, you know, endpoint nihilism. You know, like, we're not worried about like who cares what happens at the very end of the universe when, you know, the big crunch or whatever it's going to be. Like, just because it doesn't matter doesn't mean like there's no freedom in it, I suppose. So yeah, I don't think it matters, but I think it not mattering is all that matters, if that makes any sense.
It totally does.
No, it's very interesting because there are a lot of people that do believe exactly that. And that there's, like, we just spoke with a couple of cast members from the Shadowcast in LA, Sins of the Flesh. And they both, too, said, be gay, do crime. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just supposed to be an escapism opportunity for folks that want to experiment outside of their current lifestyle. And if it means nothing and that allows it to mean everything to someone, then sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that absolutely resonates. Yeah.
Well, Zach, this was so great. I love watching wrestling with you.
I love watching wrestling with you both. This is so much fun.
We'll keep sending you weird Rocky Horror wrestling crossover videos, and you can keep sending us whatever you want, because honestly, every time we watch anything you send us, we have so much fun. So
Please follow Zach on his social media. Will you plug everything and anything and where to find you and what to look at?
Yeah, we're on Twitter and Instagram at Smark and Friends. We're also on Facebook, but we're on like the Two Finger Guns Club's main Facebook page, which kind of like encompasses all the shows and their programs. So on Facebook at Two Finger Guns Club. Once again, Instagram, Twitter, very easy. Smark and Friends, we're very easy to find. Yeah, and you can listen to Smark and Friends wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. In fact, if you head over to our Instagram, you'll find a link tree to find all of the podcatchers that we are on.
thank you so much, Zach. We really loved having you on the show.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Follow his Instagram. So much good.
Thank you.
So many good memes. Even if you are an uninitiated wrestling fan, you will love the content. Because you'll see Macho Man throwing creamers at reporters.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we connected. Like, this chance encounter on Instagram has led to
Yes.
2 really fun podcasts to
Yes.
record. And
Heck
thank
yeah.
you so much for having me on your show, and thank you for being part of mine way back last month.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, if I can just plug that one, if you want to catch
Yes.
catch Time Warp Radio on the Smark and Friends podcast, the episode is called Torch Me, and we had fun.
Thanks again to Zach for talking with us, and thanks to you for tuning in for this special presentation. And don't forget,
On Wednesdays, we watch Rocky. Bye.
Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps us out, and we appreciate all your feedback. We'll see you next time.